Hello everybody, how's it going? Ben Gothard here, founder and CEO of Gothard Enterprises and author of CEO at 20, a little book for big dreams. Now today I want to talk about something that is extremely important to becoming and sustaining success and becoming successful and sustaining that success, right? And that is discipline. Now, how many times have you heard people say, man, I really wish I would have done this, or I wish I would have accomplished that, or I was so close to doing this one thing, but I just didn't have time, or things were too crazy. A lot of the times it comes down to discipline, because there is nothing, and I firmly believe this, that there is nothing distinguishable between you and I and somebody like Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk, right? We all have the same 24 hours in a day. We all have the same global resources and the same global community to work with. So there's nothing that is stopping us from accomplishing what they have accomplished. One of the important differences, though, and I realize that there are a few differences between all of us, like they got different schooling or they may be in a different place in their lives, but the concrete idea is that we can all accomplish incredible things in our lives and we can all turn our dreams into reality, right? But one of the important stepping stones to getting there is discipline. And it's not the only one, mind you, but it is one of the most important, because one of the only things that we can control in our lives is effort. That is one of the only things that we can control in our lifetime, and that is one of the things that discipline is so important in dictating how much effort that you put into your time as a business owner or doing whatever you need to do, right? Because if you're not disciplined enough to put forth effort towards the things that are important, then you're not going to ever be able to make progress, because you're not doing the things that are really important, right? So that's why discipline is so important. Now, I want to give you 4 steps to becoming more disciplined, and these steps will also help you increase your productivity and improve your time management skills, okay? So they are 4 words, right? Each step is a different word, and I'm going to go through and I'm going to explain each one. But the 4 words are manage, focus, avoid, and limit. Okay, so let's break it down. To be more disciplined, first and foremost, we need to be able to manage. We need to be able to manage short-term crises and problems. Okay, now these things, these short-term crises or problems can be something like debt, something that you have got to deal with right now. And until you deal with that, that is one of the biggest things that is holding your time and energy and your thought process, right? So the first one is managing your short-term crises and problems. You got to get those out of the way before you can truly focus on the things that are the most important, which is getting ahead and building up, right? So I want to describe these as important and urgent, right? If you're in debt, that's very important, because you're going to have debtors coming to collect from you. And it is absolutely urgent, because these people are not going to wait. So the first and foremost thing, in my opinion, to do to become more disciplined is to manage the short-term crises and problems that are taking up most of your attention right now, in order to be able to focus on, number 2 is focus on your long-term goals, right? Now these long-term goals are important, but they're not urgent, meaning you got to focus on them, you got to think about them, but they are a long-term process. It's not just going to happen immediately like that, right? Whereas managing your short-term problems and crises, that is urgent and important. Focusing on your long-term goals, that's important, right? And that's important and not as much time-sensitive as in if you don't do it today, it's not going to ever happen. But, if you're not doing it constantly, consistently over time, then it really won't happen, right? So that's where number 2 comes in, of focusing on your long-term goals, okay? Now, what are some of these long-term goals? Well, it's going to be different from person to person. For some people, it could be building a business. For others, it could be going to school, getting an education. It could be writing a book. Whatever it is, you know what your long-term goals are. Whenever I say long-term goals, or your BHAG, as Jim Collins says, or your big, hairy, audacious goal, that something pops into your mind, and that's the thing that you need to focus on if you're going to turn your dreams into reality, or you're going to change your situation for the better. Okay, so the first is managing your short-term crises. Second is to focus on long-term goals. The third and fourth are very important as well, right? The third is to avoid distractions and interruptions. Okay, now I'm sure we've all had that time where, all your buddies call you up and they're like, hey, we got to go out tonight. It's just, it's the best night to go out. Everybody's going to be there. It's going to be so much fun. Well, if we're going to be successful, and I say we because we're all in this together, right? It's not just a one-time, one-person ordeal, right? So if we are going to be successful, we have got to be able to avoid those distractions and interruptions that they're urgent, right? Because it's only happening tonight. Everybody's going out tonight. It's going to be huge, right? But they're not important. Those things are truly not that important in the greater scheme of things. Doesn't matter if you go out to the club tonight. Not really. Does it matter if you spend time working on your book or working on your business or doing something meaningful and fulfilling? Yeah, that is important, right? So while there are certain distractions and interruptions that may seem urgent and may seem like they need your time, they really saying to yourself whenever you see something or encounter this is a distraction, this is an interruption, and in order to be successful, I need to avoid this, right? It takes a lot of inner strength to be able to do that, but that will come in time, right? At least in the beginning, let's identify it. Let's work on identifying it first and saying, okay, I recognize that this is a distraction, and I know that I need to avoid it. Now let's work on actually avoiding it and saying no to these things, right? So I'm not saying, by the way, just a caveat, I'm not saying that in order to be successful, you could never have any fun and never go out, never do. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, in order to become more disciplined, to avoid distractions and interruptions will help you a lot more time to what's really important, which are those long-term goals, to really be able to focus in on what matters. Okay? So again, first one's manage, second one's focus, third one is avoid, and the fourth one is limit. Okay? Now, limiting your time-wasting activities is probably one of the biggest chunks of obstacle, right? That was kind of a weird way to put that, but that's probably one of your biggest obstacles in order to become successful. And I know that because I see it every single day in the people around me. I see it in myself sometimes. When we spend time on things that are just not useful in any way, like watching TV or playing video games or different things like this, that's not going to help us to progress in life. It's not going to help us get to those things that we want. Now, there are some extreme examples, right? You may be streaming your video game playing, and you play video games because it's how you make money. Okay, that's not a time-wasting activity. But I trust that you see the difference between playing video games and building your business off of that, building your brand off that, and playing video games because you just want to play them. I trust you see the difference between that. So the point is, you got to limit your time-wasting activities. And again, I say you, but it's me too. It's all of us. We, as people, if we want to be successful, we have got to limit our time-wasting activities, because not only are they not urgent, but they're also not important, right? Again, so the four are: one, manage short-term crises and problems. Those are urgent and important, and in order to focus on what's truly the most important thing, the most pressing thing, which are your long-term goals, you got to take care of your short-term crises and problems. You just have to. Two is focus on those long-term goals. Once you do not have something that is immediately calling of your attention, such as debt, or somebody's in the hospital, or something that is just a crisis, you got to put in number two, which is focus on those long-term goals, like building a business or something like that. Third, got to avoid distractions and disruptions. We have got to avoid those things that are urgent, that seem urgent, but are not actually important. For example, going out tonight for penny pitcher night, or for whatever it may be that seems like a really big deal right now, but if you look behind it, it's really not that important, right? And then the fourth one is to limit those time-wasting activities, like watching TV, playing video games, doing nothing. That's just, we only have a certain amount of time in this life to do incredible things and to turn our reality, or to turn our dreams into reality. So why waste that time doing something that is not going to benefit us as people? Okay, so I hope this has been helpful to you. Discipline is one of the things that a lot of people struggle with. A lot of people struggle with this. And if you actually take a piece of paper or a pen or whatever it is and write down your activities and you document what you do every single day, then I bet you'd be surprised at how much of your time is not spent in the first two quadrants, which is manage and focus, and how much of it is actually spent in the avoid and limit column, which is not going to help you progress. I guess a call to action would be to start writing down all of your daily activities and be honest with yourself. If you spend 3 hours a day watching television, write it down. Nobody's going to judge you, but it's important to be honest and transparent with yourself at the very least. Because if you're not going to be honest with yourself and truly ask yourself those hard questions of what am I actually doing with my day? Am I actually being productive? Am I doing things that are actually meaningful to my life? If you're not going to be real with yourself, then it doesn't matter what else you do. That is going to always be an obstacle in your way, and it's going to be a lot more difficult to be successful in life. So, call to action, make sure to understand these 4 steps and document your activities, see where your activities fall in these 4 steps, and identify, overcome. You got this. I believe in you. I love you. Let's build a better world together.